Hello, my name is Mike Ward and I'm the Global Director of Content for Informa Pharma Intelligence's Insights portfolio. That's Pink Sheet, Scrip and In Vivo. We're here in Stockholm attending BioEurope Spring, where the pharmaceutical, biotech, investors all get together, sort of discuss the sort of latest trends in the industry, but actually more importantly, get together to network, to either establish potential new alliances and new deals, or actually just get an idea of what else is out there. Innovation is clearly a key for the pharmaceutical industry, and what we've seen pharmaceutical companies actually go beyond the sort of the traditional places that they might look for that innovation, and actually sort of embracing what's now called open innovation, and in fact are around almost creating their own little hubs and their own little clusters. So I'm actually joined today by Dr. Magnus Bjørsner, who is the CEO of BioVenture Hub, which is an initiative by Astrazeneca in Gothenburg here in Sweden around, I guess, creating open innovation, or as you just described it, Magnus, wide open innovation.
I think that's a fair description, actually.
So, briefly, sort of explain, the creation of BioVenture Hub. When did the idea first come about, and what was its motivation?
So from the beginning, it started off, Mike, with spare capacity when it comes to facilities, and we realized that in Sweden or in Europe, buildings is not a bottleneck for the industry. It's capabilities and knowledge that is the crucial part. And what we wanted to do here was to investigate whether we could find a model where not startup companies, but companies that are about to emerge from being research-based and when they transform to become product development companies. So these are quite mature biotechs. Yeah. So if we could find a model where they could actually tap into our infrastructure and our human capital in order to basically have a likelihood to actually pass the valley of death. Right. So we now have opened up our research site in Gothenburg, which is a quite unique site because it's 2,600 people totally devoted to R&D, but it's the whole value chain. So it's from idea conception all the way up to start of production in one unit. And we have opened up as centrally as possible. We have space now where we have 20 biotech companies sitting inside our environment with the same access on their access card as I have as an AZ employee, and they can tap into our capacity basically when we can afford to allow them to use it. And this is funded by external investors. So the Swedish government innovation agency Vinnova and other even private investors have allowed this to happen by basically they reimburse Astrazeneca when Astrazeneca makes its resources available for these small companies. Right. So it's free for them, it's cost neutral to us, there are no ties between AstraZeneca, not even a first right of refusal. It's totally tireless basically. Okay. And it's just a great environment. Right.
So, so what you're saying is that, for example, if I was in one of these sort of, biotech companies where I'm moving from, trying to move things into the clinic.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I'm able to sort of tap into to your expertise. I sort of contact people in AstraZeneca who might be expert in that area.
So there are two different levels here. So one is because you will be on our site, you will eat in our canteen, you will drink our coffee. Okay. You will be able to speak to our people.
So it's kind of informal, ad hoc.
So that's one level which is frequently used. Yeah. The other level is that, assume you now have a slightly bigger problem, it's not enough with 2 cups of coffees and a lunch. Yeah. Then you can say, I need to speak to these type of individuals. Yeah. Then we help you to locate those people. We secure that it is okay to tap into the resource. Is it available? Yeah. It could be that you have to wait 3 weeks because the people are busy with their project, but then they can make themselves available. And you can basically sit down, use us as an ad board. Yeah. We even have done experimental work for companies. But we don't if you can buy stuff on the city, that's where you should go. But if what you ask for is truly unique, then we try to help out. So it's really about the uniqueness of industry capacity that we can make available here and want to make available.
Okay, so who chose who goes into the
We are quite selective actually. Now, I think there are some, so we chose. Yeah. And we of course, in some cases, we are not capable of making that decision, then we consult people in our organization and even outside. But then we look at, is the company mature enough? Is it financed so it can actually do what it says it wants to do? Can they add to the innovation environment we want to build up? And do we foresee that they need the type of expertise that we actually can provide?
Yeah.
And so far, I think we have said no to roughly 60% of the companies that are asked to move in. Because what we are doing here, besides we have only spoken about biotech now, this initiative is also open to academia.
Right.
And normally when industry go to academia, we go there because we have a problem and we think we can work together to solve our problem.
Yeah.
Now we have went to some prominent academic group and said, hey guys, we don't have a problem, but we have this. If you could tap into these models, what have you, how would that change what you do research-wise? So now we have university groups that have moved into the hub, not with the purpose to solve a problem for Astrazeneca, but to combine our skill sets and resources to simply do better research. The other thing we are doing here, which is going beyond where we are today, is trying to mix 4 different value chains in the same corridor. So we will now bring in companies engaged in digital health, companies in medtech, companies in diagnostics, and pharma. And that's in that crossroad, innovation can really start to happen.
Right.
And if you look forward, what we will offer, I think, the healthcare system is not only a pill in the future, it's a wider solution. And if we can catalyze that, that's cool.
So you mentioned it's cost neutral, but there is opportunity cost because
Yes.
if your guys are engaged
Yes.
helping other people out, that means they're not doing something for you.
What price tag do you put on knowledge? So we have actually seconded people into these companies in order to learn techniques that they are using.
Right.
And they have said the whole purpose of the whole setup is knowledge sharing.
Right.
So instead of paying for a collaboration, if I can give you an advice which cost me 5 minutes, it could be worth a lot for you. And we have really been able to introduce a model where people are willing to share knowledge to help each other.
So what is the benefit to AstraZeneca then? Because it may be cost neutral, but there must be some benefits for you to do this.
It's definitely a good question. So I think it's on different levels. So one is information asymmetry. So these companies all have their IP in place. So we can talk quite freely to each other. If they in the future need a partner, I don't think anybody will be better suited to judge that science than we are.
Yeah.
So information asymmetry is one value. I think the other value, which I think is bigger, is something we have realized almost by accident. And that is, I will give you an example. So you have a company, it's a small company, they work typically on an orphan disease, they can afford to move forward. We discuss with them, it could be whatever, and we realize that mode of action, it could actually be of interest in this disease segment. Have you considered that? No, we don't have the financial muscles to move into, for example, diabetes. And we say, we happen to have a model up and running 2 doors down the block here. Can we try your compound and just see what happens? Yes, of course you can. So it really is about, serendipity can suddenly just flourish in this.
Right.
And that's a big value.
Yeah.
And the third value, I think, is culture. Imagine big pharma, big pharma is big pharma. Now we have 20 small agile companies in the midst of our rigid infrastructure, whatever you call it, the big pharma climate. And it just creates a super cool atmosphere. So I think it's in both directions.
So you gave an example there where you saw a new opportunity that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. The BioVenture Hub, it opened its doors, I guess, officially February 2015.
February 2015, yes.
Yeah. So just over a year. Are there any sort of real sort of concrete examples of why this was such a good idea for AstraZeneca to pursue?
I think yes, I would say, but it's really hard to, if I'm honest to myself and to you. So we have 2 companies that made an IPO last year. We have 2 NDA submissions. We don't know whether they would have had those submissions if they were outside the hub.
Yeah.
We have all those seeing that, and there are statements from these companies that the type of expertise they get access to, it doesn't matter how much money they had, they would never been able to buy it. So if you believe that competence has a value in our industry, yes, then we have seen it. And then we have the collaborations. I think some of these companies, I think there are 7 inter-hub legal arrangements now where they have started to collaborate, because this is like almost like a playground when it comes to science, because we could see what happens if we put that technology next to that technology, what could happen. And that has transposed to now, as I said, some 7 new research programs which wouldn't have happened otherwise. And I think the other values is, of course, what we now want to do as the next phase of the BioHub, where we look into orphan innovation from within Astrazeneca that we do not intend to commercialize. So it could be the traditional way of dealing with that innovation is that we try to divest it as is. What we now are trying to do is to ask ourselves, could we reposition this innovation so it actually fits the biotech community and the VC space, and allow them to build a company based on innovation that we have shelved, but that probably still is valuable.
Okay. So you mentioned that there are 20 activities or organizations already in the hub. And it's bang smack in the middle. So if you have something that's bang smack in the middle, there isn't really much move for expansion. So how many more entities can you, you can squeeze in?
You can also expand like that. And we have 3-4 floors in that building.
Oh, right, okay.
So, but seriously, geography is not the rate limiting factor here. No. It's availability of good enough companies, and it is our ability to add resource. That's the most critical component here. So we now want to we want to grow. We don't think we have reached what is a critical mass yet. It should probably be twice the size. Okay. But we want to do it now incrementally, and we want to secure that the companies that come in really make this even better.
Right. And is there, have you done a gap analysis where there are sort of technologies or activities that you sort of think you're still underweight in the Venture Hub that you would like to
yes,
to have?
Oh yeah. So if you look on those 4 value chains I mentioned, our skill is in pharma. Yeah. So what we now want to do is to bring in skills that are complementary to what we have, but where 1 + 1 is more than 2. Yeah. So here we look at really the best companies in those fields and ask them, would it be interesting for you to sit in this environment? And so it's all deliberate, but it's a huge experiment.
Okay. So you're still open for business for new tenants?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, Magnus, thanks for passing by and telling us about it.
Great talking to you, Mike.
Cheers.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care.